Rares sont les jeux à avoir le privilège d'une sortie en grande pompe sur les Champs-Élysées. Starcraft II en fait partie. Le nouveau hit annoncé de Blizzard a été officiellement lancé sur la plus belle avenue du monde le 26 juillet à 22 h.
J'ai joué au premier, c'était le premier jeu que j'ai joué. C'est un jeu de stratégie super équilibré en fait, où vraiment les différentes forces en présence sont intéressantes.
Au programme, des animations, des concours, une ambiance électrique et la possibilité de venir chercher sa version avant tout le monde. Mais pour avoir ce privilège, il fallait arriver très tôt. Les plus courageux ont commencé la queue en début d'après-midi pour obtenir le précieux à la fin du compte à rebours. L'impatience était presque palpable.
Ça fait depuis 14 h que je suis là et franchement c'est la délivrance, quoi. Je vais pouvoir y jouer en plus en rentrant là.
À peu près à mes 10 ans, j'ai eu mon premier PC et avec en cadeau le jeu qui sortait à ce moment-là, Starcraft. Et depuis, j'ai pas décroché, quoi.
La soirée se passe très bien, on avait des attentes assez fortes et on n'est pas déçus. Les joueurs sont au rendez-vous, le jeu était attendu depuis très longtemps.
Starcraft 2 se déclinait au choix en une version standard ou une imposante version collector bien remplie. Les fans pouvaient aussi mettre la main sur des goodies comme des figurines ou les guides officiels du jeu. Ultime bonus, la possibilité de se faire dédicacer son jeu par le lead designer de Starcraft 2, Dustin Broder. Nous avons d'ailleurs pu nous entretenir avec lui à quelques heures de la sortie du jeu. L'occasion d'un petit rappel sur l'histoire de Starcraft 2 qui se déroule 4 ans après Starcraft Brood War.
Hell, it's about time.
At the start of Starcraft II is Jim Raynor is a down-and-out rebel, mercenary, pirate, living on the fringes of Terran space, battling against his old enemy Arcturus Mengsk, this evil dictator and overlord who's ruling over all of the Dominion. Almost all of the humans, in this part of the galaxy are ruled, by Mengsk, and Raynor's been trying to stop this guy for years. Right? At the same time, he's been battling against, as many of the Terrans, battling against Zerg invasions, against Protoss attackers, and now he's really almost out of luck, right? He's seen way too many friends die in battle. He's lost what maybe was his one-time girlfriend, Sarah Kerrigan, who was taken from him by the Zerg and turned into the monstrous Queen of Blades. His mercenary group is down on its luck, and really this is sort of, Jim Raynor's last chance for redemption.
À travers l'histoire de Jim Raynor, la campagne solo de Starcraft II Wings of Liberty se concentre sur les Terrans, la race humaine du jeu. Contrairement au premier Starcraft qui proposait 3 campagnes sur 3 races, Blizzard a décidé de séparer l'histoire de Starcraft II en 3 jeux, un pour chaque race. Les Zerg et les Protoss, bien que disponibles dans le mode multijoueur, ne seront jouables que dans leurs volets respectifs. Une décision très controversée que tente de justifier Dustin.
We're really trying to do something kind of special with the solo play campaign that allows players to have a very cinematic experience, a very character-driven story experience, but at the same time to have a lot more choice as they play through the game. Maybe, more choice than they've seen in a lot of real-time strategy games before in playing through the single-player game. And so, as we started to develop that experience, we began to see how much more work it was to make a game that really had all of these choices, and yet at the same time had a very strong story and a very powerful cinematic experience. And we'd originally planned, of course, to do StarCraft II and 2 expansions. And at that point we thought, what would make a lot more sense is if each game was focused on one big part of the story. So we focused the first game on this huge campaign set, controlling Jim Raynor and the Terrans. And then we planned to have, the second part of the story focus on Sarah Kerrigan. And we've had the third part of the story focus on the Protoss. And so just as we began to develop the scope of the game, the sheer size that we were trying to create really demanded we sort of break it up in a way that made sense, that allowed us to have this huge story, at the same time give the players lots of choice.
En se concentrant sur la partie solo, les équipes de Blizzard ont voulu renouveler le genre. Certaines missions se dérouleront ainsi dans des conditions assez originales de manière à pimenter le gameplay.
But we're trying to provide each mission to be its own unique tactical challenge. So when you come to the mission, you don't really know what to expect. You better listen to the briefing, because each mission is going to have its own special challenges. You might be on a world where hordes and hordes of infested Terrans attacked by night. And by day, they burrow underground to hide from the burning sun. And then you have to go out and burn out all their nests. And when night comes, you have to run back to your base because the horde is coming again, right? Or you might be on a world where the low ground is destroyed by lava every few minutes. Of course, all of the good resources are on the low ground. So you have to go out and collect those resources, and the lava comes, you have to run back to the high ground. And of course, there's Zerg all over the map, also dodging the same lava you are. We're trying to make sure that each mission is special. Each mission is its own unique tactical challenge.
12 ans après sa sortie, le premier Starcraft reste dans les mémoires comme l'un des meilleurs jeux de stratégie en multijoueur. Exigeant, particulièrement équilibré et notamment apprécié dans les compétitions. Starcraft II a donc la lourde tâche d'égaler ce niveau d'excellence pour devenir la nouvelle référence en ligne. Et pour parvenir à ce but, les développeurs de Blizzard ont dû procéder à de subtils équilibrages entre les races. Ils ont notamment été aidés par la bêta du jeu qui a permis à quelques chanceux d'essayer le mode multijoueur en avant-première pendant près de 6 mois.
We know that the original Starcraft and Brood War were some of the most balanced strategy games ever built. And we wanted to have a game that you really felt like this was worthy of existing in the Starcraft universe. At the same time, we need to create new tactics and new strategies for our players. And so we spent a great deal of time trying to decide how to improve the game without fundamentally destroying what people loved about it so much. So we've added a lot of new sort of fundamental abilities to the races. You know, abilities like Warp-In for the Protoss, which allow the Protoss to create units anywhere they have pylon power instead of just creating them from gateways themselves. The Zerg have the ability to move faster and creep, in many cases significantly faster, which really encourages Zerg players to spread creep as much across the map as they can. We call them creep highways, right, where the Zerg try to create long chains of creep that allow their units to move quickly back and forth from one side of the map to the other. You know, at the same time, we've had a lot of new units. You know, the original Starcraft and Brood War were so carefully balanced that if you change even one thing about that game, you change everything.
I knew you'd find your way here. Eventually.
We don't want the game to get too big, right? StarCraft II moves at a very fast speed, which means for the most part, you need to hold all of the possible tactics and strategies in your head. Not only do you need to know what you can do, but you need to understand what the possibilities of what your opponent can do. So when we looked at Brood War, we realized it was not acceptable just to add units on top. We couldn't just say, here's 10 more units, and now it's 25 units, and each of these units is unique. We knew that wasn't going to be possible, so we knew we were going to have to make some hard calls, that we would have to remove some units as we added them. So we looked across all of the races, and we looked at units that we felt were truly iconic for the race. Units like battle cruisers, siege tanks, marines, zealots, zerglings. All of these were such classics and so important for the race, both in how it characterized how the race played, but also what the race even looked like. Everything else, as much as we may love it, is free to come or go depending on what our needs are. And it was and remains some of the most terrifying work you can possibly do in video games to this day. Balance is something ultimately that's decided over time. Rob Pardo, who is a vice president of game design at our company and has done balance many, many years, back to the original Starcraft and Brood War, told me a few weeks ago that we wouldn't know if this game was balanced for at least a year. Everything could change tomorrow. Somebody in Germany or Korea or New York could figure out tomorrow the perfect break and ruin everything, right? And we have to fix it right away. And we're totally prepared and open to deal with that should it happen.
Une autre décision controversée de Blizzard est d'abandonner le jeu en LAN. Fini les parties entre copains en reliant plusieurs ordinateurs entre eux, comme au bon vieux temps des cybercafés. Starcraft 2 n'est jouable en multijoueur que sur Battle.net, le service de jeu en ligne du développeur.
It was a difficult decision for us to make, but we really wanted to make sure that all of our consumers were in the same place at the same time, all playing the game at its best, right? We know that our achievement system is something we wanted accessible to all of our fans at all times, and the only way to make that even remotely secure, right, was to put it, you know, online on Battle.net. We wanted players to use the matchmaker as much as possible. It's really the only way we can guarantee you a fair game of StarCraft II, and that was, again, something we wanted players online for. We also knew from World of Warcraft that things have changed a lot since the original StarCraft. The original StarCraft, not everybody had access to broadband, not everybody even had access necessarily to the internet at that time. Now with World of Warcraft, we can see that the technology has changed, and really everyone has access to the internet almost all the time. And we certainly felt that this was something that was the right decision for the game.
Une décision qui ne devrait pas empêcher les joueurs de se ruer massivement sur l'un des jeux les plus attendus de l'année, et qui sera probablement l'un des plus gros succès de Blizzard. À moins que les fans patientent pour le volet Zerg de la trilogie, intitulé Heart of the Swarm, mais celui-ci ne devrait pas sortir avant au moins un an.
Because the one thing I know, some things are just worth fighting for.